Cameron Harker is 17 years old. His team is about to win the city championship.
Cameron, watch that linebacker. Watch that.
Cameron has always been a leader. He has been chosen to receive a full-ride academic scholarship. But Cameron recently told one of his counselors that he'd like to find a way to make all the pressures in his life go away. Forever.
Grandpa, happy birthday to you. Yay!
Walter Carpenter is celebrating his 75th birthday. Surrounded by his children and grandchildren, this seems to be one of the happiest days of his life. But last week, Walter mentioned to his daughter that since he lost Madge, his wife of 52 years, his whole world seems very empty. More and more, he feels he is becoming a burden to his family.
And here he is, our newest Vice President, Kevin Martin.
Julie Martin has appeared to live what most people believe, a good life.
Up here in front of you tonight.
Her friends call her the perfect wife and mother.
There, Ron.
Tonight, Julie plays the proud wife, beside her husband of 20 years, as he is introduced as his company's newest vice president.
I tell you, he's gonna be a...
This is one of Julie's proudest and happiest moments. But later this evening, Julie will be arrested for drunk driving. Her well-hidden addiction to alcohol will soon become very, very public. In the next 3 months, Julie, Walter, and Cameron will make the same decision that thousands of other Americans from every walk of life make every day. They will attempt suicide. Is someone you know thinking about suicide? Do you know the warning signs? Do you know what to do? A suicide crisis can be survived. People who become suicidal usually remain so only for a few days, or perhaps a few weeks. During this time, the person considering suicide needs help you can give. Talking about suicide is uncomfortable for most of us. We're afraid that we might push a friend or loved one over the edge. Our uncertainty makes us turn away, leaving the sufferer feeling more alone than ever. Most people who consider ending their life send warning signs that they're in trouble. In just 1 hour, you can learn to recognize the warning signs and how to offer support. The training is called QPR, and everyone should learn to use it. In the same way that thousands of Americans are saved each year by CPR, QPR training will provide you with skills to put an end to the tragedy of suicide. QPR was created by Dr. Paul Quinnett, a psychologist and author of Suicide, The Forever Decision.
QPR is designed to teach people, regardless of their background, how to make a positive difference in the life of someone they know. Like CPR, learning what to do at the time it needs to be done can save lives, and that's what QPR is about. We know that most people who take their own lives are suffering from some acute stress situation or in a major relationship conflict, or are suffering from a quite treatable brain disorder. Substance abuse, drug and alcohol addiction greatly increase the risk for suicide. Suicide is our last taboo. We've talked about cancer, we've talked about sex, now we've talked about incest and domestic violence. And it's my hope that if we can talk about suicide as comfortably as these other subjects, we can really start to save lives.
He suffered from depression off and on probably all of his life.
But we never thought of him as being, suicidal. We've even asked him, you would never do anything crazy, would you? Oh, no.
Well, to him, what he was planning on doing wasn't stupid. He probably wanted to talk about it, but I didn't exactly give him an open door to come to me and say, yeah, Mom, I'm really in trouble here.
At first I was just, in shock. It took a while for that to wear off, but I was, just couldn't believe it at first. And then, of course, I was very angry. Couldn't believe that he did this to us.
There'll never be another holiday in our family that will ever be even close to being the way it was before he passed away.
So there's not a day that doesn't go by that there isn't just, one thing. Every day there seems to be something that reminds me, and so it's just not the same.
He had a nervous breakdown about when we moved in here. He was very depressed.
Well, whatever I looked at turned blah. No matter what came up, I was completely negative. Decision making is one of the toughest things for the individual to make.
The only thing they can think of is, well, maybe I better jump off the bridge or get that gun or something.
And if someone whom this person knows suggests, would you like some help? And get that person to say, yes, I would. That's the big thing.
Suicide has no color. It doesn't care what race you are, and it has no age limit. It doesn't care if you're young or old. I know that the effects that it has on me as an auntie who had a young person in my family say I wanted to commit suicide, and I mean young by 7 years old, saying, Auntie, I want to kill myself. And as an aunt, I didn't know how to help. I didn't know how to help him. And all we could do at that time was to able to be there as a family to hold him. And where to go to share that information was hard. If I was trained, if I knew what I'm going to learn when I do the training, then maybe I wouldn't feel so helpless. And so when people, I think, deal with suicide, they feel real helpless. They don't know where to turn, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to say. And I think by learning this process, I'll be able to now know what questions to ask, how to respond to them, and definitely know when to refer them. And I think that's really important.
The concept of repetitive training, such as CPR training or QPR training, can allow you to react instinctively to help the patient. Physicians need that reinforcement just as office personnel and other people who deal with patients need that kind of reinforcement. We don't do things by instinct or guessing. You have an organized approach to a problem, and QPR makes sense.
I feel like I'm a part of a system that's been trained with QPR. Parents that call me up and say, well, John's, he's not transitioning into the school year very well. I'm noticing a lot of stress. He said these sorts of things to me, The coach stops by, his football coach, and says, something's up. I'm feeling something about John. He's not performing, just feeling real down or something. A couple friends stop by and say, I'm real worried about my friend John. Put those pieces together, and that is a tight safety net where, the application of QPR, I point blank say to John, are you thinking of killing yourself? And it's amazing to me, the kids say, yes, I am. They're very forthright once you ask the question. They're not when you don't ask the question. But once you ask the question, they come right out with it. And you're able to deal with that. You're able to tighten that safety net, get them the help they need, and refer them on to more resources if that's necessary. And that alone can save a life.
To save a life from suicide, we all need a little knowledge, some courage, and permission to talk about suicide openly. QPR provides all of this and sends a message of hope. Ask a question, save a life. It's something we can all learn to do.